Welcome to Black Girl Say Something, where this black girl has something to say. And we are wrapping up Q2. We're at the end of June, y'all. We're at the end of June 2025, and June almost feels like it was about 6 months in itself. I know I'm not alone in that. And I'm not just saying that because I'm in between contracts and business deals. And I'm not just saying that because this summer has really been one where I'm like, oh, I'm going to sleep in. And every day I'm finding myself getting up every bit of 6 o'clock, between 6 and 8 to start my day. And my days aren't ending till 10 o'clock. And I wish more people and more organizations and more of these government agencies understood that not being gainfully employed and not having profits roll in every day from your business, or every week from your business, or every month from your business, does not mean you're not working. And I'm not even talking about the mom stuff. I'm talking about in general. Something that I started working on last year, I'm reviving into this year, and it's actually looking very promising, if I'm being honest with you. And so because of that, I've come to this point where I started to come back to my memory. If it's meant for me, it'll be easy. If it's meant to be, it'll be easy for me. If it's meant to be, it will be easy for who? Me. I don't want to hear that. If I tell you that, I don't want to hear that sometimes you got to work a little harder. Baby, I'm the queen of working hard, right? And as the queen of working hard, and as the retired queen of working hard for everybody, including myself, as the queen of working hard, trying to make things work, as the queen of trying to cut myself into the puzzle piece to fit to fit the piece. Baby, if I know now, after all of that, and after all of the work, and after all of the strife and the tears and the therapy, if it's meant for me, it will be easy. And I say that to say this. I use my children as examples sometimes for these things, and my daughter wanted me to share this with y'all, that we went through a process of her doing her swim test. I know they have been talking to us about it since she was 12, y'all. And then she got injured from gymnastics. I want to say, I feel like now it's about a year ago. This time last year, yeah, it was about a year ago. She got injured from gymnastics. So she started physical therapy, and physical therapy also, we started back swimming. And during that time, we took up swimming lessons. Her and my son started swimming lessons. And I'm like, this is really good. So at the end of last year, I also did, at the end of the year before that, I did swimming lessons too. And did swimming lessons. And the lady who was teaching swimming lessons at the time was about to retire from being the swim director where we did swimming lessons. I think I've told y'all a little gist of this story, but go here with me. So they kept talking to her about, hey, you can get a scholarship to pay for your lifeguard certification when you turn 15. But they've been talking to us about this since she was 13. 14 comes, this year she turned 15. Everything went smoothly, except the fact that the new swim director, who had been talking to her for the last 2 years, last year and this year, we did the scholarship. She got it. She got her certificate. She put in her work. She had to, first, before you can go through and do your actual lifeguard certification, there's a pre-test to see if you even meet the qualifications. So you have to do some treading in the water and things like that. And so she beat that milestone, got the scholarship, did the training all of 3 days, just about. Did the virtual, and also her part of her swim training was on the day of her dance, her end of the year's dance, her first dance as a high schooler. So it was a lot, right? But it was easy, it was seamless. And even then, her training actually ended a little early because they went over the day before, because it's a 23-hour training, and they have to do, according to the Red Cross, they have to do a certain amount of hours. So because they had went over the day before, the next day she was able to get out a little early and make it to her dance on time, not late, get ready, all of that good stuff. Even if we had to be fashionably late, she was going to go. But the reality is, it ended early, so if it's meant to be, it'll be easy, right? Okay, so that was the ease of it. But now she's done, summer's rolled around, and it's time to get a job. And they kept putting her off at this particular place where she got her training done. They kept putting her off, and I'm like, something ain't right about it, because they had you do the application prior to you even having the certification. and now they're not getting back to you. Finally, they do tell her to come in to do some paperwork, and they call like a supervisor of the supervisor, and they're like, they're going to get back to you. They don't get back to her. Lo and behold, she's persistent, because my girl, she have the skills to pay the bills, and not literal bills. I'm talking about figuratively. Like, if she wants something, she gonna get it done. So she calls them this final call, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry to let you know, we don't hire at 15, we hire at 16. And it's like, she gets off the phone and she's like, why they ain't been telling me that? But he said, look into the parks. At that same moment, she looked into the parks, baby. She seen that the parks pay more than them. And boom, 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 she got a call. They call her back the next day. And if it's meant to be, it'll be easy. Because when she called and left them a message, she was like, I'm gonna do the application right now. She did the application. I assisted her with updating her resume, because now she has other things on her resume. At first, she only had that she worked for my company, but we also added her customer service experience for her own business that she worked. Also, she's been volunteering at the library, so she has that experience. Um, so her resume is it's pretty robust for her to be 15. If I must say so myself. Like, my whole goal for my children is to expose them to as much as possible, so by the time they get my age, it'll be easy for them, right? She even went to her first job fair. They had a summer education and job fair, and I went, and I didn't realize that it was marketed for young people, because there were so many young people there. But of course, there's only 5 jobs. If there's 20 vendors, 5 of them are jobs. The other 15 are schools and educational programs. And so I was like, let me go back home and get her. So I go back and I get her, just so she could see what the vibe is like. But if I'm being honest with you, all of the jobs are there. I'm ear hustling. They're not hiring nobody under 18. So they marketed that like very, very wrong, right? Summer camps were dropping off the teens there, and anywho, just a mess. Just let's just say I went to that job fair number 100 and whatever, and I was just like over it at this point. And the thing for me, I had said before, job fairs are seeming, when I go, to be social experiments. Because to have 200 people and only 5 jobs, that seems like survival of the fittest. It seems like needle in a haystack, and I don't want to participate in those activities. I also realize that when I do go to a job fair, I'm very low energy after going. It does take a lot out of me to go and partake in these job fairs. I literally went to this one with 5 resumes and gave out none, because there were no jobs there for what it is that the qualifications that I possess. Without going too much on a rant about that, back to, if it's meant to be, it'll be easy for me. So I've been doing some pitches on an idea that I have, and people are gravitating towards it. And I didn't put in the work like I should have last year, but if I'm being honest with you, the work that I put in was prepping me for everything that I needed to do this year. If it's meant to be, it'll be easy for me. I'm making the calls. I'm doing the 10-minute pitch decks. I am scheduling the post meetings. I'm remember I tell y'all I'm in between contracts and business deals. All I need is about 5 contracts to get caught up on my mortgage. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. And really not 5. 5 is me saying I want to be caught up on my mortgage and be able to pay my car. But that's neither here nor there. Then I have a job reach out to me, paying me more than I was asking for. So, I'm hopeful for that, because if I get it, I can actually still do the plans that I have and all of the other things. But I had to tell someone reached out to me, and I need people to understand, just because you say we appreciate your value and we want what you bring to the table and we love everything and we think you'll be very valuable to our event, but you tell me your budget is non-negotiable, at that moment you devalue me. I'm sorry. Somebody has to say it. When you reach out to a person that you want to speak at your event and you let them know that they're very valuable, and then you don't ask them their rate, you give them a rate and they let you know what their rate is, and your rebuttal is, our rate is non-negotiable, but we would still like to have you. You have now entered a space of devaluing the individual. I'm sorry. Okay, you don't highly value them, because if you did, your next point of view, your next message should be, and is supposed to be, Well, we thank you for your time and wish you well in your future endeavors. You do not still ask them to participate at the low ball ass cost that you are giving. I hope you understand that. So, moving right along, I got into a back and forth with an organization that wanted me to speak. Honestly, I should have just deaded it. But the reality is, I was like, there's nothing on my schedule for that weekend, but I cannot speak for 2 days at an event where this is what I charge for 1 hour. Unfortunately, I know my worth, I know my value, I know the impact, and I know the vibes, and I am the impact. So, with that being said, I was like, you know what? No, our goals currently aren't aligning. So, I will be moving on to other endeavors, but I would be more than happy to promote your event to my other to my audience. And I think that's, if it's meant to be, it'll be easy for me because again, I'm in a space where I'm going to tell you what it costs and I'm going to move on. I cannot be negotiated in this back and forth in this tussle. When people reach out and they say what their cost is and I tell them what my cost is, usually it goes crickets. But really and truthfully, being in a place where you are saying, hey, it's non-negotiable, but we still want to have you because we value you, that's devaluing. It is. It's not right. And that's just business, and that's the reality of it, right? As the expert, the subject matter expert, you don't go into a you don't go into uh an expensive steak restaurant and tell them, you know what, I want that tomahawk, but I'm not gonna pay 200 for it. That's not how that works. So you can't have a lobster budget, a lobster taste on tuna, on canned tuna budget. That's not how that works. If it's meant to be, it'll be easy for me. Anywho, I moved on. I moved past that. And only for me to move past that and still be in this space where I'm taking other calls that are showing to be fruitful and profitable for that same date. Oops. Hello, clock that T. Anywho, then earlier this week, I also got a call from a friend of mine was asking me, some quick questions, and she was talking to someone, and I'm like, hey, maybe we could collaborate because this is the rate that I charge, and they want to pay the rate that I charge. This is what I'm talking about. If it's meant to be, it'll be easy for me. If you've been listening to Black Girl Say Something since the beginning, I've only given y'all a taste of how hard things were for me during the course of being married, during coming out of the divorce. Um, but the reality is, I came out the womb fighting. My mama had me at 16 via C-section. Okay, they wasn't cutting C-sections back then at the bikini line, baby. They was cutting C-sections vertically from the belly button. They pulled me up out of there on October 21st of 1987 with an umbilical cord wrapped around my neck. Now I'm sitting here, my whole dissertation, my doctoral work is talking about maternal health. My mom, when she said, and she sat with me at when I did my dissertation virtually, and she said, I didn't get maternal care at all with you, and now you're here speaking on maternal care. I wish you would have told me that from the beginning because I would have put that in my impact statement. That would have been in my abstract, in my introduction. Okay? So all my life it has been hard. But I'm in a place where I've sifted through the hardness to get to a place of the softness. And now in the softness, if it's meant to be, it'll be easy for me. I'm not putting in the hard work because I've done the hard work, right? If I spent 15 years in school to get to this point, now I have my doctorate, and I thought about going back to school and getting back in wasn't easy, I'm not doing it. Because that happened. I was talking about getting back into school, and it's like it wasn't easy. I'm like, I'm not doing that because I got to figure out how to pay for it. I'm in between contracts and businesses. I can't figure that out. They need to figure it out. But it is what it is. Anywho, I say all of that to say this. Your girl is making some things, doing some things. I went to an ab class this week. Let's just say, Tummy Tuck Chronicles. You got to maintain that thing. And honestly, I've been doing, if you've been, if when I was doing Pure Bar, I was doing Pilates, I was doing all of the pole fitness. Honestly, all of that maintenance I was doing has led me to this point where I did an ab class and I felt like, damn, that was kind of easy. So going into July, I'll be doing an ab class and I'll be doing a Les Mills body pump class 2 days a week, and then pool 2 days a week with my children. So we'll be alternating because I only was swimming, and I was like, yes, swimming does attack certain muscle groups, but there's other muscle groups that you don't necessarily attack when you're swimming. It is a whole body workout, but it's more of like low impact. And so I wanted something a little bit more impactful because I want to get toned, and I have some goals I want to meet. And especially if I'm going to be doing this next level of work coming in the fall, I want to I want to build up my stamina. If I'm being honest with you, the work is done behind the scenes so that when you get in front of the scenes, it's easy. If it's meant to be, it'll be easy for me. That's all I got to say on that. But if something was said that resonated with you, of course, I would love for you to leave a review on this. Leave a review on any one of the episodes. Leave a review of the podcast wherever you listen. We're looking to add to other podcast platforms. I did put a video on TikTok asking people, what platforms do you listen to podcasts? So I can see if Black Girl Say Something can be on that platform. So we're working on that. July 1st will make us 3 years. Woo! And the crowd goes, wow. So y'all know I'll be dropping a bonus episode for July 1st, and I think I want to call it Things I've Learned Over the Last 3 years as a podcast host. I think I'm definitely going to drop that. Follow us on TikTok, like us on Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. And for exclusive podcast episode content and visuals, story times, all of that good stuff, subscribe to Patreon. I've been more active over there because I be having some things that I be wanting to say even more than I be saying to y'all. Because this Black girl has even more to say, I've been saying it over on Patreon. So definitely head over there and subscribe. Leave a review of the podcast. The podcast is turning 3 years old July 1st, and I'll be dropping a bonus episode, so y'all can look out for that. In the meantime, in between time, if something was said that resonated with you, share any one of the many episodes with at least one person. And thank you for listening.